If you like to drive around and talk about the latest happenings, this is the channel you need. So subscribe and follow Carmentary.
Hello folks and welcome to Carmentary. My name is Neil. I'm driving in my car as always, and I'm going to tell you a story today about DJ Larry Levan and Francois Kevorkian, two famous DJs that I got to see and listen to way back in the day here in Sapporo, Japan of all places, at an underground club called The Wall. That's why I got my disco lights on here today. This is a good story. It's got a little bit of a lesson that I think DJs, maybe if you're a young DJ, upcoming DJ, interested in DJing, whatever, there could be something in this story that would resonate with you, and it might be good to hear. So here it goes. Back in the day, when I came to Sapporo in 1991, there was an underground music club called The Wall. And it was truly, there was no sign. You had to know where it was. It was underground. It was within walking distance of, the city center, on a little side street underneath some kind of building that housed either a warehouse or I don't even remember what it was, but this is an area where you would never normally go. And we would walk there at night. You would go down underground under these stairs. There'd be a guy waiting at a little counter. You would pay whatever the fee was that night. It was between 3,000 yen to 4,000 yen, depending on the DJ, the event. At least that's what I remember, the ones I went to. And it was basically a box. It was just a box. It was a dark box. Some simple lighting. I think there was a mirror ball. I don't really remember exactly. I just remember it was dark. There were 4 speaker units, in the corner, so I had this kind of surround sound system. At the far end, there was the DJ booth. It was like they built a big wall. It was raised up, so the DJ was a little higher than the crowd, looking down on everybody. And the sound there was spectacular. And I think it kind of became sort of famous in the world of clubs, around the world. This is 1991, 92, 93, early 90s in Sapporo, Japan. I don't know exactly what the whole club scene was, but the place kind of blew my mind. It was house music. They were playing house music, and there were local DJs who were, good, but then they would bring in famous DJs from around the world. And these were DJs all kinds. They even did reggae music. There was reggae nights. So I remember seeing Bobby Condors there live. He was amazing. I have another whole story about him I'll save for another day. But the regulars, it was that more loft style or Chicago style house music. And the most memorable night of all, and it just sort of sprung into my head today, Francois Kevorkian and Larry Levan together came over, and I think they did a couple nights. I don't remember exactly, but I just went to one night, and I was kind of young, too young to really understand who and what Larry Levan was, but I did know who he was, and I had seen footage, and you'd see his name on remixes of records, and I kind of grasped it. I think he may have been sick at the time. I think he died shortly after he came to Sapporo. It may have been a year after he came. It wasn't long. It wasn't long after he came to Sapporo that he passed away. We go down into the club, and it was packed, obviously, because he was famous, and everybody in Sapporo who was anybody had kind of showed up. And I think Francois was playing first, and I don't remember the exact songs and everything, but Francois' DJing he had been to Sapporo many times, and don't know if this was the very first time for Larry Levan to be there or not, but he had not been to Sapporo much, let's put it that way. So it may have been the first time. And there was kind of like this apprehensions, this sort of like nervous energy of like, what is he going to be like, you know? And Francois had been to Sapporo before, and I think everybody had an idea of what he sounds like. And, you know, he's super professional, like clean mixes, like beautiful sound, consistent, like programmed, like smooth. That was the image, and that's exactly what he sounded like that night. And he was playing the music, and next to him in the DJ booth is Larry Levan. And Larry Levan, he was very dark skinned, and the club is very dark. So, I mean, you could hardly make him out. And he's there, and you can see him, he's grooving, he's dancing, he's moving along with Larry, along with Francois. And they switch, you know, you see that, you know, you're in Japan. I mean, everywhere in the world, everybody kind of keeps an eye on the DJ. I think in Japan, people really look at the DJ. In fact, everybody kind of lines up and faces the DJ and dances to the DJ or with the DJ rather than dancing with the people they came with, which I'm not a big fan of. But on that situation, in that day, you know, you're there to see Larry Levan. Of course, you're going to like look at the DJ booth and just be like, when's he coming on, you know? And you see that Francois is like, okay, next song, let's change. And it's like, okay, here he comes. So they make the change. He puts on a record. I don't remember what it was. It doesn't really matter. The point is, and what hit me so hard in that moment and has stuck with me for like 20 years or whatever it is, was the power, the literal power that he put into that very first mix. And it wasn't a really good mix. So you hear the beat start to come in underneath the last song that Francois is playing. The record's playing, the beat is booming. You hear this song coming in, and it starts to go off rhythm a little bit. It's like, and you're like, whoa. And normally, there's that uncomfortable feeling as a DJ and as an audience member when the mix starts to go off. And you're like, oh, come on, buddy. Get that mix, you know, line it up again. Speed it up, slow it down, whatever you got to do. And Larry Levan, in that fucking moment, he like rammed that song into the mix so freaking hard that everyone just shit their fucking pants. Literally. Not literally, actually. No one actually shit their pants. But it was freaking exhilarating. He came in with a beat that wasn't even on the beat. And it came in with so much energy and so much power that everyone just went, ah! And just like started screaming. It blew me away. It blew me away in the moment as I was standing there dancing in the club. It blew me away every time I thought about it after that. It blows me away right now as I'm talking about it. And he did that for his entire set. Every mix was basically like if you were just standing there as like a robot and you had no idea who he was and you didn't care about dancing and you were just like observing it, you know, pragmatically or whatever, you would go, oh, this guy sucks. You know, you could literally say his mixes were terrible. But everybody was just going ape shit. The sound volume. Now this is a little side note. I don't know if, you know, I don't know how good his ears were at that point. He had been DJing for a long time. Like I said, I don't know how healthy he was. I don't know all these details. Francois was right next to him the whole time, and Francois actually came over and was like, I don't know if he was EQing or if he was adjusting volume or what he was doing, but he was like kind of like assisting Larry as he DJ'd. I remember like seeing that. You could see it going on. And maybe hear a little something in the sound, like taking down the highs a little bit. I think he was like EQing things, and maybe that was because Larry's ears were shot. I don't know exactly, but like I said, the sound balance was kind of a little bit all over, the volume, whatever, but there was an incredible way he had of mixing and bringing you from song to song, and not just doing it like, oh, here, you know, being all sneaky, like, oh, I snuck that song in on you, you know. And there's like that thing with DJing when you're mixing records, especially like house music and dance music. It's like you're into the one groove and you're like, this groove's so amazing, and then suddenly you're in a new groove and you were like, whoa, man, I didn't see that one coming. Your DJ is amazing, you know, like you. But he was like on another planet. Like he didn't give a crap about that. He was like coming at it from an entirely different mental standpoint or viewpoint. He was letting you get into a song and groove to it, and then at some point he would be like, screw that, man, we're going this way. And he would like bring in that song, and it was just mind-blowing, man. Absolutely mind-blowing. I've never heard anybody DJ like that ever again since that, whether live or pre-recorded. Now, you know, the reason I'm talking about this is because on YouTube I follow a channel called My Analog Journal, which is a great channel. They get all these DJs who come into this room on this same setting every time, but different people with different music. And there was one guy playing house music, and you know, he was doing his thing and mixing it, and he was fine and all. But it just reminded me of how different and how unique Larry Levan's style was in the mixes, and the way he was just like, he just didn't give a shit about the technical side of it. He was like, man, I'm here to like bring you some grooves. And everyone was just like, wow, you know, you would like literally kind of like scream like when the mix came in. You were like, wow, it's coming! Bring it, Larry, bring it! And yeah, that's it, really. I'm just repeating myself. I think you got the point. I think it's something to think about. I think it's a style that is viable. I'm sure there's people out there in the world that have that kind of style, and I just don't know. There's millions of DJs now all over the planet. I'm not really in the club scene anymore. I do appreciate my time I spent DJing. I learned so much from it. I think DJing is such a beautiful and unique, amazing skill. I'm thankful that I got to see Larry Levan live in person just once, even though, you know, I don't think he was at his peak anymore. He obviously, you know, in the late 70s, early 80s, I'm guessing, in New York, Chicago, wherever, like that would have been, I mean, that if it was amazing in Sapporo, Japan, in a small little box, imagine how amazing he would have been at his absolute peak with a huge club filled with like crazy characters. Yeah. But anyway, that was my story. That was what I thought I could relate to you, and a little moment in history. Maybe I'll do a series of these, because I have other DJ stories. Like I said, Bobby Condors was amazing. Some of the local Japanese DJs. Yeah, I'll go into the memory banks and see what I can think of. Anyway, hope you enjoyed that, and tune in again for another episode of Carmentary next time I take a drive. Decided to talk about something, and these podcasts are available now through YouTube Music. Drive safe, everybody.
If you like to drive around and talk about the latest happenings, this is the channel you need. So subscribe and follow Carmentary